AITA for not giving up my part in a will? I, 18F, recently had a close friend of mine pass away. He was old, so I knew it was coming, but it was still a shock. For some backstory, we had met while I was working in a bakery. He was a frequent guest and we always chatted while I helped him. I learned he was from Vietnam and I learned how to say, "Have a good day," in Vietnamese just for him. We eventually met up outside of my work and became fast friends. I'll call him Mr. N. We'd meet up and just chat for hours. He'd teach me basic sentences in Vietnamese while I helped him with English. He'd tell me stories of his life back in Vietnam, about his family. How he never had any children because his wife wasn't capable, and how his family practically disowned him for marrying a black woman. It wasn't so much a problem that she was black, more that he wasn't marrying a Vietnamese woman. How I was like the child he never got to have. How he's sure his wife would have loved me. He even bought me an Ao Dai for my birthday. I loved it. I wish I could say goodbye one more time. A few weeks passed, and I had to go in for the reading of his will. The others were looking at me in confusion, since I'm obviously not Vietnamese. During the reading, Mr. N's siblings were left like 1K each. But he left me his estate and everything in it and 15K, along with enough money set aside to pay for my college. He gave it to me, instead of his family, which made them quite upset. I can understand that, really, but I'm also mad at them. This was their brother and they're whining about the money? If I could give it all up just to hug him one more time, I would. But then again, what should I expect from people who gave up their brother so easily? They tried to dispute the will, but it failed early on, with his lawyer confirming that Mr. N was of sound mind when making the will. They tried to claim that he was schizophrenic and couldn't have been in his right mind, but it was super easy to disprove that. He was in the hospital constantly, and I never saw any signs of schizophrenia, and neither did any medical professionals. The only reason they even asked me was because I was the only person to have visited him, which broke my heart. Everything legal got dealt with, but his family confronted me after and basically demanded that I give up my portion of the will. They said that, if I was a good person, I would give them what was rightfully theirs. I snapped and told them if they really cared about family, they wouldn't have cut their brother off over him marrying a black woman. That if they really cared, they would have visited him in the hospital at least once. I told my mother about this and she's saying that I should have been more forgiving, since they're grieving too. But I don't think they are, not truly at least. I do feel guilty that they aren't getting as much as me, but at the same time, I don't think they deserve it. So Reddit, AITA for not giving up what was left to me in a will. NTA, what a lovely friendship, and I am so sorry for your loss. Honor his memory and his generosity by living the best life you can and making wise choices about this amazing boost to your entry into adult life. And perhaps consider a donation in his name to a non-profit that helps immigrants learn English. The law has already determined that he knew exactly what he was doing when he made his will, and the individual bequests to his relatives indicate that he was very deliberate, that there were no oversights or impulsive decisions. Don't give it another thought, and, if they continue to bother you, ask the attorney who handled the will how to put a stop to the harassment.